Alright, so you're back. I'm glad you're back. That felt a little lonely. Let's finish up this section 8.7. Then we'll be all done. This is page 36. We got 12 problems to do. You'll fly like, oh my god, we're done. You'll be like, oh my goodness, so fast. And then you can do the quiz on your own. Alright? So let's try some. Number 16, here's what we have. We have 7 to the 3/9 powers. Is that right? So kind of like the problem we did in the first part of this video. You're reducing this. So you're reducing 3 and 9 by 3. You're going to divide them both by 3. So you get 1/3. That's all you do? Is that all we do? I don't think that's all we do. Let me just look at the instructions. We want to change it to radical form. So we got to do square root. What goes in? 7. In is the 1 power. 3 is in the outside. And that's it. Okay? This next one. We have 5 to the 2/3 and then 5 to the 8/3. What you need to do on that one is add the powers. The 2/3 adds with the 8/3. So again, we're just adding the 2 and the 8 so that you get 10/3. And then we switch that back to radical form. 5 goes in, 10 is in, 3 is out. The denominator is out. That's the only thing that stays out at the bottom of the fraction. What is this? I can't even read this. 18 says x to the 1/2 and then 4/5 outside. We're going to multiply these powers. The 4/5 and the 1/2 get multiplied. 1 and 4 get multiplied on top. 2 and 5 get multiplied. And then we can even reduce these by 2. Divide by 2. You get 2/5. So now here's what I end up with. X to the 2/5 power. Switch it to a radical. What does that look like? 5 is in... No, why is that a 5? It's not a 5, it's an X. 5 is outside. Okay. Number 9. Number 9 is very similar to the problem in part A, part 1 of this video, where we subtracted these powers. These powers you need to subtract. 1/3 minus 1/4. Now if you recall, you can't just subtract fractions. You need to have a common denominator. So I will multiply this by 4, multiply this by 3, and I end up with 4/12 minus 3/12. Then I can subtract them. 4 minus 3 is 1. 1/12. That 3 is missing a leg there. So then I end up with 2 to the 1/12 power. That's not my final answer because I need to change it back to radical form. That means I need to do a square root. 12 goes on the outside. And then 2, I don't have to write the 1 power. Just leave it like that. Number 20. These powers get added. Add the powers. So what you need to remember is this. Whenever you have a fraction, subtract the powers. And whenever you don't have a fraction and you have 2 sets of powers separate, you need to add them. Unless there's parentheses and then you would multiply them. So there's 3 scenarios. You either subtract them, you add them, or you multiply them. This one you're adding 1/3 plus 2/9. We need to get a common denominator. These two numbers, between 3 and 9, common denominator is 9. So multiply this by 3 to make them both 9. So I get 3 9s plus 2 9s. Add the 3 and the 2. That gives me 5 9s. With a base of A. A is the big number that should stay there all the time. Then finally change it back to radical form. Square root A. What goes in? 5. What goes out? 9. That's it. 21. Should we move on? Let's do 21. There's an invisible 1 power here. Pew! Underneath the 2. So make it a fraction. So we're going to multiply these powers. 2 over 1 times 3 over 4. You can cross cancel or reduce. That becomes a 2, that becomes a 1. Then we multiply. Tops 1 and 3 is 3. 1 and 2 is 2. So that's my power, 3 over 2. Change that finally back to radical form. 4 is inside, right? Yes. What goes in? You know what goes in, a 3. And then obviously the only thing left to go outside is the denominator. Alright, shall we move on? We got 6 more problems to go. You still alive? You still alive? Remember, if you are getting tired, just, alright, good. If you're getting tired, just put pause. Go to the restroom. Go to the kitchen. Go have your little brother or sister make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Or something. I don't know. Whatever you like to eat. And then come back. I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm stuck inside your computer forever. Get me out. Number 22, let's do it. What are we doing? We are adding the powers. Adding the 1/10. No, I don't know where I got that from. Scratch that idea. It's a negative 1/2. I was trying to do some stuff in my brain. My brain went, Here's what I need to do. Get a common denominator. Between 2 and 10, the common denominator is 10. Right? So multiply by 5. So now what do I do here? I'm going to get 7/10 times negative 5/10. Actually, I'm adding these. These should be added. So now 7 minus 5 is 2. Because a positive and a negative, you might remember you subtract those. Then we reduce these by 2. All this time I'm just trying to figure out what the right power is, the denominator, the exponent. So I have the x to the 1/5 power, which I will finally switch it to radical form. Square root x inside, 5 outside, and that's it. Number 23. There is a power outside and there's powers inside. I can add the powers inside first. Let me see what those powers are. We have a 5/6 and a 1/3. So let's add those. 5/6 plus 1/3. Get a common denominator. Between 6 and 3 is 2 times the bottom here. To make them both 6, I get 5/6 plus 2/6. 5 plus 2, right? 5 plus 2, add it all up. It gives you 7. And now I have this. So that is just the inside part. I still have this other 3 out here that I need to multiply now. What I really am going to do is I'm going to cross cancel the 6 and the 3 here. So that just becomes a 2. So what I end up with is 3 to the 7/2. Or 7 over 2. Change it to square root. Radical. 3 to the 7 inside. And because I have a 2 on the bottom, I don't really need to write it. It's an invisible 2. 2's outside, you never have to really write it. You could, it doesn't make it wrong, but then everybody would laugh at you. You don't want that. 24. Ready for 24? 24 is kind of weird. It's like 3 powers, and all I need to do is multiply all 3 powers. We have a 2/3, a 1/3, 2/3, a 1/2, and a 3/5. This was kind of crazy. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get crazy on this problem. Here's what's going to happen. Cross-canceling to the extreme. The 3's cancel and become 1s. Anything else cancels out? You see it? You see it? You see what cancels? Yeah, the 2's. Gone. So you just multiply 1 times 1 times 1 on top. And 1 times 1 times 1 is not 3, it's 1. And then 1 times 1 times 5 is 5. So that's my power to the base y. So now I just switch this to radical form. Square root y. The 5 goes on the outside. And we're done. The 1 you don't have to write. Let's go ahead and do number 25, 26, and 27, the last 3 problems. Ready for this? Number 25. You have 5 to the 2/5. And then I'm going to switch this so that it looks more like this. Okay, so I changed it from a radical to exponential form. I need to add those powers. 2/5 plus 2/3. But I need a common denominator between 5 and 3. What's common denominator between 5 and 3? You figured it out? Yeah, I figured it out. 15. Multiply by 3, multiply by 5. So that's going to give me 6 over 15 plus 10 over 15. Add it, so we get 16 over 15. So now I end up with this final answer. Square root 5. Inside. What's inside? What goes in? 16. What goes out? 15. Alright, good stuff. 2 more problems. Let's fly. Let's fly. Subtract these powers. 9 minus 2 is 7. And then to the 1/2 power, put a little 1 right there. Multiply the 7 and the 1 on top, the 1 and the 2 on the bottom, and I end up with 7 over 2. Change that back to radical form. 6 to the 7. I don't need to put the 2, remember. No 2 needed. And final question. I need to change these both from radical to exponential, so it looks like this. X to the 5 over 2. Remember, it's a 2 because it's invisible. It's there. And then the other one is x to the 4/3. Add those powers. 5/2 plus 4/3. Common denominator between 2 and 3 is 15/6 plus 8/6. That's going to give me 23/6. Yes, I think it is. So here's what I end up with. X to the 23/6 power. I need to change that back to radical form. 6 outside, x to the 23 inside. That's the end of it. Yes, nice, we're done. Now you need to go try quiz 2 by yourself and then come see me afterwards. Alright? Well, take it easy. Have a good one. Adios.